Today we'll be answering some questions from a user about files. Hi, I'm Alex, the architect for Back4App, and this is Talking to the Architect. So we got this user named Denis. He opened a ticket using our support chat, asking a few questions about files, and we decided to create a video especially for him answering all his questions. So his first question is, how can I do backup of my files like JPEG, PNG, PDF, and so on? And to answer this question, I first have to explain how hosting a file in Back4App works. When you send a file to our infrastructure, let's say through the dashboard, through the REST API, you name it, the file is first uploaded to our servers, and once the upload is succeeded, we then create a record in the database containing a link for that file inside our infrastructure and the file name for it. So to illustrate that, here on my user class, I created a new file property named avatar, and here I have alison.jpg. If I click that, it will open on a new tab with Alison's picture. So this contains a URL and a file name. And to show you that, I'm going to go to API, console, GraphQL, and I'm going to write a query that brings that property. So query, then users, edges, node. Let's get the username. So if I run this, you see that it's only Alison in there, and then I'm going to retrieve my avatar property. But if I only leave it like that, you see that there is a red mark here telling me that something wrong with the avatar, because I have to specify which properties of it I want to retrieve. So in this case, I'm going to retrieve the file name and also the URL. If I run this again, you find the file name, which is the file that I uploaded, the name that I defined when uploading, and we added an ID for it in the beginning. And here is the link for the file inside our infrastructure. So if I just copy this URL and paste on a new tab in my browser, it will open up his photo. Let's create a new user here on the dashboard. So let's add a new user, name it Alex. Give it a password, so ABC123, click add. Now I have my new user here, and let's upload a file as the avatar. This is just my firewall asking me to allow this operation. Choose alex.jpg, open up, it's uploading, and now it's updated. So if I refresh this, here I have alex.jpg, which is the file name that I created. And if I click this button, it will open up on a new tab. So back to my API section inside my console in GraphQL, let's run this same query again. And here you'll find Alex, which is the user that I just created, with my alex.jpg file name and the ID added up in the beginning. And here is the link for that file. So if you need to back up these files, there are a few approaches that you can do. If you want to backup only inside this app, you can write some cloud code to save this file in a different class for backup purposes. Let's say you create a backup class, and for every single file created, you can create a new record inside that class and write to that class as well. You can do that with another app as well. So for instance, everything that I upload for this app, I can make a copy in another app. So if I delete this app or change it at any time, it will be saved on the other app as a backup. If you want to have a local copy, all you have to do is retrieve all the properties containing the URL and download those files yourself using the SDK, or perhaps if you have a huge list, looping through using some tool that downloads all the links. But the links are publicly available once you have access to the database, so all you have to do is to retrieve the file and save it as you want. So our second question is, I have a profile picture. If I overwrite field with a new picture, what happens with the old one? So that I just created inside the user class a new avatar file here. So if I change this file, what happens to the old one? we never really delete the files from our infrastructure. So when you delete or change a file, everything we do is change the reference inside the database. So the original file is still in our infrastructure, and that's why we have that ID in the beginning of the name of the file, so we can have multiple files with the same name but changing only the ID, and you only display the file name in here except the ID, so the file will still be there. Unless you come to app settings, the general setting, and scroll down, and you find this clean up files button here. If you click this button, we will cross-check the files inside our infrastructure against your database links, and any file that is in the infrastructure but is not in the database will be deleted. This will save up some space in your infrastructure folder, but on the other hand, there will be no way to retrieve that file back. So use this with caution. It is inside the danger zone part of your app, so you have to really be sure to clean up files, because then we will have no backup of those files. But if you do not do this, we never delete the original files. It will be there, except it won't be linked on the database, so it will not be displayed. So this is what happens to a file when you change it or delete it. And his third question is, how can I manipulate pictures if I retrieve it? For instance, if I do image.jpg / width equals 200, it will give me a smaller picture, and no, it won't. Every time you upload a file to Back4App, it goes exactly as you uploaded, so the size dimensions will be exactly the same. If you need to make it smaller or bigger, there are a few approaches that you can do. You can have another file property containing the correct size. You can, on the other hand, produce some cloud code that resizes the file content for you and retrieve that resized content, which is another strategy. But if you just upload to our servers and then retrieve it using the SDK or GraphQL or REST API call, it will be the exact file with the exact dimensions that you created. So Denis, I hope this answered all your questions. And for all the other users, if you found this video helpful, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel so you can help us grow. Also, share this link with a friend and they can learn something too. If you already subscribed, thank you for that. And if you have any questions or suggestions like Denis did, please leave it on the comment sections down below. We will always answer all the questions. And let me also invite you to our webinar that we're going to do this week. There will be a link on the video description down below. All you have to do is subscribe and join so we can now share some learning and learn together about Back4App. Hope to see you there and see you soon. Bye bye.